So, yeah, we'll see where this ends up. uh, God, thank you for clarity of mind, of heart, for your grace, in helping us learn who we are in you, where we're going, where you're taking us, and helping purge our hearts of everything that's in the way. And we thank you for the strength that's not ours to stand up under everything that's not you. We thank you for your love and patience and grace as we learn to operate in all that and everything you have for us. Everything. So, I've I've been listening to Dave's series, The Basics of Fasting, and it's like six and a half hours long. So it's not something you just kind of skim through. And I've been fasting has been heavy on me lately, and so I came off of one. And I was like, man, I'm feeling it. Let's do another one. And then I was listening to Dave talk about all these different kinds. And he was talking about this distilled water fast, like that's it, distilled water. I was like, man, I'm gonna give this a go. I'm gonna do a 3-day. I'm gonna knock this out, dude. I got this. I'm feeling good about it. So, first day was Saturday, man. I got done working and hadn't really set in mentally yet. Picked up some distilled water on my way home, and that afternoon, typical fasting experience, like, man, I'm starting to get hungry. I wonder what there is to eat. Oh, I can't eat. That's right. I need to do something else with my time. Then half hour later, man, I wonder what there is to eat. Oh, yeah, that's right. And so it goes. And, I pulled through Saturday all right. Sunday, man, that, oh, I was, I woke up with a headache, and I don't get headaches. So I was like, dude, this is, I can deal with this. This is just crap in my body working its way out, man. I'm good. I can handle this for another day and a half, 2 days. And so I was pushing through, chugging along just fine. And then like Sunday, middle of the day, dude, I was just like nausea kicked in, motion sickness set in. I couldn't go from sitting down to standing up without feeling dizzy like I was gonna hurl. Oh man. And then you got the typical self-pity party with God and yourself. You're like, why is this happening? And man, I think that was the roughest I have been on, I think. Definitely learned a lot more about fasting after that. So I lasted about halfway through a 3-day fast. And I ended up breaking it with some pistachio butter. If you haven't had it, you should try it. It's weird. Man, I'm still kind of reeling from that one. uh, so if you end up having to break a fast because you feel like you're gonna die, there's always tomorrow. Yeah. And it's not like I didn't get in like 30, 36 hours of fasting. I just didn't make it all the way to the 72 that I was going for. Plus, honestly, man, I did not feel safe driving. I was in bad shape. I was like, there's no way I can function at work like this. It's like, God, I gotta break through this. And then, it was just crap in my body. It was stuff I brought on myself, and it's just, God, ah. So I ended up just grumbling. So that was Sunday. 2 days ago. And I there was a couple people that I told just to obviously I'm going to tell Carrie, well, why are you so moody? It's because I'm not eating. And then there was another friend that I told just to kind of, just so, I mean, I don't tell people so they can be like, oh, super righteous. No, come on. Give me a little more credit than that. I do it so I can be like, God, I gotta go through with this, man. My reputation's on the line here. Fell short on that one. And then, now, like I said last time, dude, I've been throwing myself into these old series from Dave. Just stuff that I should have thrown myself into when I first moved down here. I don't really have an excuse for why I didn't. But I listen to him now, it's like, man, that would have done me a lot of good at this point in my life when I lived here. Yeah. But it is what it is. So, I've just been tearing through them. Got through the basics of fasting. I got through it 3 times. I was like, man, it's so good, but I gotta keep going. Got through the basics of prayer, and that's like a 10-message series. It's another one you don't just skim through. Then bitter and sweet waters, and then this morning, usually on some days at work, like I said, I got 3 or 4 hours where I can just listen to stuff. And so I was going to listen to the cost of exaltation this morning. And I got to work, and the point person was like, well, this and this and this happened last night, so this, and this is what it's doing to us this morning. And of course it was bad news. And that just, man, I don't know why, that part just really started getting under my skin. Because there was, refrigeration went down in some areas of where I work at last night. So they had to pull a bunch of stuff that needed to stay cold. They had to pull it off the sales floor because I work at a grocery store. It's a very glamorous job, actually. And so then that set us back this morning, having to just put everything back together. And so this chick that was in charge this morning, I was like, hey, how come this store is so fiercely protective of how they fund these different departments, but they pay the same company 8 times what they deserve to come fix something that should never have broken in the first place? Why don't we just find somebody that can do it right the first time? Save some money that way. And she's like, well, I don't know, and blah, blah, blah. And dude, I couldn't. Oh, hey, got one of the dogs down here. Hello. I was just, I could see it in my head. I was like, God, I know this is not a big deal. I have no idea why it's affecting me like this. And then it's kind of like one thing just led to another, to another, to another, to another. And but like, I was working on this first thing, man, trying to keep a hold of myself. I was like, God, what's the deal here? Why is this just hitting me so hard? And then so's the word. How long did it take Satan to try and come take the word? And I've been doing all this fasting and all this reading and studying and listening to Dave's series. Not because I'm looking for a pat on the back on here, dude. I'm just hungry. So, just real briefly, in a very concise format, like how God does, usually. It was just, hey, a lot of this is just demonic reciprocation for all this hunger you've been expressing and for everything that you've been doing to further yourself. spiritually, to grow up, to get over yourself. Man. Oh. So, first there was the whole refrigeration issue, all right? And so I was kind of reeling from that, trying to keep myself together. And then this chick in charge, she went on one of those know-it-all sprees. Well, I think it's because of this and this and this, and this over here is because of this, and I just, well, yeah, I know. And I was that little more fuel on the fire. Then I started listening to the Cost of Exaltation. I was like, I just don't want to listen to talking right now. So I played some music. I just turned it up just to get rid of everybody else, man. Just me and what I had to do. And so then, usually what I do in the morning is I just I work mornings so much, pretty much all the time now, that I just got this routine, man. I'll there's parts of the sales floor I got to rebuild, and then we get our all of our merchandise in, and then I just see what we need to put out on the floor, and start taking stuff off the truck, off of pallets, putting it on carts to take out to the floor. But because of the refrigeration issue, 5 or 6 of our 8 carts were full of crap that had to be pulled from the walls, and that a little more fuel on the fire. I was like, well, this just kind of handicaps me and what I need to do this morning. And just more boo-hooing about it inside though. And so then, of course, there was just, well, we didn't get this and this and this on the truck, so we have to readjust this, and we got to overhaul this area over here. So I started putting stuff up from the pallets, just organizing the where everything goes, because that's pretty much one of my jobs. And I started doing that. About had this pallet all cleared off, rolled the cart out to the floor, man. Came back, and this other it was the same department as me, different little section. They had just left an empty box on the pallet. I was like 30 seconds away from being all done with. And then, dude, I just kind of it was like one of those wishbones, man. He just snapped. Then I grabbed that box, I stormed over to where they were working, walked in there, man, threw it on the ground, stormed back out, just furious, just for stupid reasons. And then, by the time I go back, there's all these little plastic crates on top of where I was trying to put stuff away, too, like on these racks that I break down the pallets onto. So I'm just looking at them for a minute. I walk back out to one of my buddies that was working the floor. I was like, hey, this stack of crap wasn't back there this morning when you came in, was it? And he was like, you're in a bad mood, aren't you? It's like, yeah, I'm pretty pissed. He's like, well, I don't remember. It was early. I'm still kind of waking up. I don't know. I was like, I don't think it was there. So I go back and I'm looking at this pile of crap. Just trying to collect myself. And I put them on a cart, roll them right out to the people that left them back in my way, and put them right on top of everything they were working. And then I went and stood right in front of the chick that did it. I was like, hey, why don't you put these away? Is there a reason you didn't? You just left them in my way? And then she got real sheepish. She's like, well, I was in a hurry. Not my proudest day. But there was never, the whole time, man, I was just, it was like there was a synapse that was just not bridging properly. Like I could acknowledge in my head, man, it was just uh, such a demonic influence. But externally, man, I was just I didn't man, I didn't hurt anybody. I managed to control myself to an extent. Really, my job on here, the biggest thing is just to break stuff down in timeless, relatable terms so you guys can look at me and be like, well, if he can do it, what's my excuse? I don't know how much simpler I can make it on a day after I've had a day like today. And then this dude that he was bringing some levity to the situation. And so I was out there, man. I was just starting to collect myself. And he was like, dude, you gotta smoke some pot, man. It'll really take the edge off. And I wasn't feeling aggressive or anything. I mean, there was no malice in my heart, especially towards this guy. It just kind of popped out. I was like, well, yeah, man, but for me, dude, if I start smoking, man, all of a sudden 20 years will go by and I'll wonder why I didn't do anything with my life. I got to that last word, I was like, oh, man, I just pissed him off. Did not mean to do that. And because wouldn't you know it, he's been smoking pot for like 20 years. And then he's like, careful, buddy, you're getting borderline offensive there. I was like, hey, I was talking about me. And he's like, all right. So 5 minutes later, man, I got a minute alone with him. I was like, hey, dude, I don't care what you do. That's why I don't do any of it. And he's like, no, that's cool, man. I ain't mad. I was letting you know that you were walking the line there. It's just this whole day, man. It just feels like there's been a weight on me. I have not been able to figure out what it is. And every time I ask God about it, wouldn't you know it's the same answer, like he wasn't right the first time or something. But you know how demons talk to you? It manifests itself through feelings, through emotions. Dave has talked about it before. You have discerning of spirits. But these, it's spiritual. They'll say something, and it's not like you're hearing it with your physical ear. You're not hearing words, but it's getting inside somehow, and then it has an effect. Like when there was this mass exodus at church. I don't know how many years ago. It was pre-Pete. And then Dave was trying to figure out what was going on, and then because all these people were like, "Hey, there's something wrong here," and then I said he was just walking back to his office, and then he saw these little imps just saying that same thing, just like chanting it. And before I had more natural discernment, that same kind of thing happened to me. Like I could hear demons talking to me for what they really were. I mean, it wasn't smoke and mirrors. And I made the mistake of telling that to some uninformed people, non-Christians. And they were about a half step away from trying to commit me. So since then, I've usually just kind of kept it to myself, between me and God. But I've made a practice too of I'll start catching these emotions start rising up in me, and be like, God, what is this? And sometimes I'll just know it's me, and I'll just fly off the handle anyway. I'm getting a lot better about that, especially with these fasts. But man, yeah, like today, man, this morning, God told me it was demonic influence trying to mess with me and steal that that part of me that I've been working on empowering more and more and more. And I said, all right, dude, I can get through this. You just, man, I just got to make up my mind, dude. I'll power through it. I was about as successful as my 3-day water fast. Oh man. But it's not like God quit talking to me. It's not like he abandoned me. It's not like he's really disappointed in me. It's not like I didn't see it coming. I just, hey, I ain't trying to come off as anything more than what I really am. And if, I mean, God knows how many of us have been encouraged by Gary's failures. Oh, man. A lot of those have actually encouraged me to stick my toe out there and kind of feel the water and be like, oh, maybe this is something I can do. And turns out it's something I can do. But I knew the whole time, man, that God hadn't abandoned me. I don't know better than that by now. Just having a little more trouble hearing him there for a little while, when I was throwing my fit. And of course, the supervisors had to corner me and have a little chat. Well, you kind of made this person a little nervous, and I think you scared this one, and this one you made uncomfortable. Well, they could have taken it up with me. Well, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, obviously that talk was something I brought on myself, whatever. Man, that's why I love working in the world. I don't like focusing on the separation between Christians and them. Obviously, there is one. And obviously, bad character corrupts good morals or habits or whatever. Dude, my desire to see those people come to know God the same way I do, that trumps their crappy character. Man, I have the most fun with them too. That right there, that's my ministry. Because we can all just be real, dude. There's a few of us, there's a handful of us, like, there's a rotating crew of morning people, and all of us usually work together 2, 3, 4 days a week. And so we just got this camaraderie, man. One of us will show up, and then somebody else will come in a little bit later, and then we'll just see him from across the building. Well, hey, dummy! And the other guy, he's still kind of waking up, like, hey, stupid. And then we laugh about it, and we make stupid jokes about each other. Yeah, that's how we are. There was one guy that got fired for attendance like a year ago, and every once in a while he just kind of swings in to say hello. And he saw me coming from a ways away. He's like, hey, dummy. Had this big old grin on his face. Can't talk like that at church, because they're family. Hello, brother. Yeah. There was I got a whole lot of praying in before this, about 40 minutes. Got off of work, just kind of wind down, just Well, actually, no, maybe it was an hour, a little over. I don't know. I don't really keep track. Anyway, it's just there was still this heaviness, man. This. I don't really know how to explain it other I don't know how to explain it other than it being like a distant sense of self-condemnation or shame because of what I did this morning. And there was I straightened it out with the people I needed to straighten it out with before I left, for sure. I did forget to put my phone on silent though. Well, I will learn better than that. I was on a good streak there for a while. Fix that. Yeah, straightened out my my flaws with people. Like this chick that left the box in my way that I just went and like, stormed over there, threw it down. She was more concerned that I was upset with her. I mean, not because she thought I was going to punch her in the head or anything. Just because we've got a spiritual camaraderie of sorts. And so I got with her. I was like, hey, I didn't piss you off or anything with what I did I? She's like, no, I thought you were mad at me. I was like, no, I was just mad at the situation and a whole lot of other things. I don't want to get into the spiritual side of it with her because the biggest thing, man, when we screw up, we just gotta suck it up and set our pride aside and make sure things are right. Because our witness, our testimony is on the line when we do fail. And a lot of that distant sense of self-condemnation, a lot of that is still just demons, man, trying to happy is he who doesn't condemn himself in what he does. I meant to look that up verbatim and give you the reference, because this is about the Bible and God or whatever. Again, how many times does Paul make exact, explicit references? Biggest thing for me is, man, am I straight with God? And subsequently, am I straight with these people around me? People that either look up to me spiritually, just respect me as a person, whatever. Am I square with them? And like, there's one more guy I could talk to. I didn't want to. I wasn't sure, and I wasn't humble enough to just go apologize gratuitously. So maybe next time. But that condemnation, man, that for me, dude, that was external. Dude, it's important to just as much as possible get some distance from the situation. Be like, God, all right, what's the problem here? Or even just ask yourself. Did you give yourself a little evaluation? Is there a reason I'm getting? Well, is there a good reason I'm getting mad? Is there a justifiable reason that I'm starting to feel upset, or am I just being a petty turd? What do you have to prove to yourself, right? Ah. There these last two, the last one and then in this broadcast today, that was stuff. For a long time, I'd have a couple hints at what God wanted me to talk about or what seemed right, and I wouldn't really be sure until I sat down and got started. And this time, man, these last couple, God told me like weeks ago, a month or so ago, He said, "Hey, I want you to hit these next." And so I've been chomping at the bit too. And today, I didn't have any idea how I was going to tie in. But I knew today He was wanting me to talk more about His voice and hearing Him and learning when it's Him. You know, there's a lot of people that they're like, "Well, I can't hear God." I would, oh, yeah, or I don't know how, or I can't, and dude, that, believe me, we all start there. And then we got these people that are like, "Well, I asked God for this and this and this, and I asked God to do this in my life." That's all well and good, but who made the first step here? Was it you or God? Well, God made the propitiation, or whatever. All right, so God made the first step several times, like with Abraham and then with Jesus. Well, obviously with creation and then Abraham and then Jesus. So He's made all of this provision for us to not suck and to not be a failure. He's taken away every excuse except what our pride tries to vindicate us with. And then we start making all these requests to Him without even bothering to ask or to see what He's asked of us. What does He want us to do? Well, He hasn't told me. Well, you haven't read the Bible then, huh? What's He say in the Bible? What's He got to say about character? Much less the Ten Commandments in the Old Testament. Do you read the New Testament? Then you put away lying. Read Ephesians 4. It's all over in there. Quit trying to hide your business from God like He can't already see it. And then you wonder why there's a separation. We've got to stop being that stupid. Obviously we can't tackle it all at once. And God knows, obviously, here you've got evidence on me of how much more I have left to tackle. And yet I can still hear God. Why? Because I'm still trying to do, well, obviously not my best, or I wouldn't have fallen so short today. I'm trying to make a concerted effort to keep my heart straight with God. I mean, as good as I thought it would have felt, I did not punch anybody in the mouth today. So hey, that's progress, right? Now it's just, these emotions just flare up like a mortar. But the whole time, man, inside I was like, God, what is the deal here? I don't know what's going on. I'm going to express it this way because I'm so angry, but I know there's a better solution. Better solution is to be more transformed inside, so that even if doesn't matter what people do, doesn't matter what demonic influence there is against me or in other people against me or whatever, it's just, hey, I got God here, man. He's better than you. And it's not like today I was we got to stop waiting for God to move externally or to talk externally or to just, move outside of us to listen for his voice, like he's standing in the closet trying to get something across to us. And it's something that comes from inside of us. Just, like how that demonic influence, what they're trying to, their chants, how that seems to manifest emotionally, like with me this morning. May as well use me as an excuse, huh? That's how that stuff manifested. If the demons are spiritual, if God is spirit, how are we going to start finding God any better than that, any different than that? It's going to be something that starts manifesting somewhere inside of us, like it's just dull at first. How come it's dull? Because we don't know how to hear God, because we don't know the way he talks to us. So what can we do to broaden the avenue that he uses to communicate with us? We find out stuff that he doesn't like. We read the Bible to see how we can improve ourselves, to give God something to work with, to empower himself to move in us, to give us the strength that he's been trying to give us all along, to stop sucking at what we do, to stop lying, to stop exaggerating, to stop being angry with people that cut us off in traffic or do 15 under the speed limit. That's still something I'm praying about. To just not be moved by anything anybody else does, to just transcend circumstances and be like, hey, you want some of this Jesus guy I got? Because I ain't bothered by how much your life kind of sucks or how much you think my life is falling apart just because there's this, this, and this. Man, the same chick I had to apologize to today, she brought in like 15 or 20 pages of notes from this Bible class she's taken, and she's like, well, I need them back by tomorrow because I got a final test tomorrow night. And I was like, well, dude, there's no way I'm going to read this during my breaks at work. So I gave it back to her. I don't know if she's going to email it to me or give it to me on Friday to look over. And then, so after I got done clearing the air about my poor attitude, I was like, so what's this test about? He's like, oh, it's about gospel finances and how we're not supposed to tithe. It's something we want to do. And I was like, well, so God wants us to be rich? Well, it's not about the law anymore. It's what's in our heart to give. I was like, so isn't it about God trusting us with more money? Us having a pure enough heart to not get selfish when we have more means? And she just kind of stopped. Well, it's about what's in our heart. She was telling me a couple weeks ago, I think, that she had just learned how to pray in tongues. She'd been doing that more, making a habit of doing it when she's working. But we got to start looking for God to move inside of us, not keep thinking God is outside trying to work his way in. What did Jesus say about the Holy Spirit, man? That was another one I meant to look up and just kind of, well, it didn't happen. I got sidetracked dealing with that condemnation issue and that weird emotional weight. But, dude, the biggest thing really is just making sure you have a clean conscience with God, that you can approach him with anything. Dude, if there's something we've done that we're ashamed of, the Bible says, dude, you can rely on him to forgive you. He ain't going to stop doing that. That does not give you an excuse to keep abusing that grace and that freedom. That just means you're allowed to screw up as much as you want, as long as you keep trying, man. You 1,000 times, hey, let's do it 1,001. God's right there with his hand up, well, hand out to give you a hand. What with his God is standing right beside you with an extended hand to offer you a help up, not a handout. So a lot of Christians, well, just focus on your conscience. That's the biggest thing, man. That if you spent any time around the prayer center, they've talked about the new nature, about how you don't have the that synthetic conscience that was beat into you as a child. You have the Holy Spirit and that inner witness and a living conscience inside of you. It's a moral compass. Man, you believe in God with your heart and you confess Jesus as Lord with your mouth. You got that conscience. And what you do to keep it soft or hard is up to you. But that's where hearing God's voice starts. If this seems wrong, spend some time with God about it. If it seems right, and you're not sure, spend some time with God about it. If it seems right, and it looks right, and there's just what example. So I love using my chainsaw. And I got mixed feelings about tornado season because I love cutting down trees, especially when you don't got to be careful. You just got debris you got to chop up. Because I love to cut down trees, but I don't want to land on somebody or kill anybody. Or all right, we clear on that same page. So there was here a while back there was a tornado that went through Oklahoma City and some of those areas, and I got to go help out. But I was supposed to go with a buddy of mine. And strength in numbers, and it's just nice to have a buddy to chat with on the road. Get there in a completely brand new circumstance. You don't even know what you're getting into. And so of course he bailed at the last minute, just like a typical stoner move. I don't know why I didn't expect it. I do now though. And he bailed, and I'd already set in my heart, and there was people there that were expecting us. I'm going to go. And I knew in my heart God was like, hey, you got this, man. You go knock this out, dude. But inside out, I was just terrified. It's like, God, I don't know anything about this, dude. What if I just show up and I don't even know where to start? I just kind of stand there, look around, and turn around and come home. He's like, well, you can still say you went and tried. I said, well, what about this? What about this? Part of me kept looking for excuses, and it's not like God changes his mind very often. He's like, hey, this would really, 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 really benefit you if you could just suck it up and do this. So, of course I did. And then that, man, changed my life. Not like I hadn't been to disaster sites before, but just something changed, man. It's like my perspective was over here, and then it just got shifted way severely. And then God really took me through a time there teaching me stuff after that. But hearing God's voice, that starts in your conscience. Don't listen to those people that are like, that don't, well, the people that don't continue to encourage spiritual growth and improvement and a sense of spiritual purity, growing from all these different kinds of filthiness. Like in the series Basics Prayer, Dave talks about the filthiness of flesh, filthiness of soul, filthiness of spirit. It's worth it. You ought to give it a listen. But what are we doing to purge ourselves from that? Just much less on our own willpower. Well, I'm sleeping around and I'm emotionally insecure, and but I pray. I don't know why I can't hear God. I'm not. I just. Well, what's God got to say about sexual immorality? Well, we got no excuse once we read the Bible, man. Once we prayed that prayer and we got that conscience inside of us, it's like, hey, you don't need to share a bed with that person. Yeah. And then you do it anyway, and then you're pushing God away when you do that. So what can we do to open ourselves up more for God so we can be more receptive to Him coming back? Because it's not like He doesn't want to. What are we doing just of our own willpower to put on the armor of God? And it's not like God expects us to do it all by ourselves, but you can't build a house if you got no material. You follow me? Well, this was fun. Just, you've heard of growing pains, right? There was a friend of mine in, I don't know, junior high or something. He was just, like, he started getting sick and just nauseous. And he was throwing up, and it was weird. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor's, he was diagnosing him. And the doctor's like, oh, yeah, I see your problem. You grew almost an inch in 8 days. And his body was just trying to adjust to that. Huh. It's all right, man. We screw up. We do our best to keep our conscience clean with God. And He helps us screw up less and less and less and less and less. And then as we learn how to be more sensitive just to that conscience, we start hearing more and more, we start getting more guidance. And it starts turning into, like, for my conscience, just like, this doesn't feel right, man. To, I feel like I need to go do this. To start, like, you catch a word here and there. And then you start catching phrases. And then it's like God doesn't stop talking. It's like, too much. I've been saturated, God. Give me a minute here. But He's not shy with His presence and His wisdom, His knowledge. He's He just doesn't have too many places to pour it out. Hmm. But anyway, um, yeah, I think that's about it. So, love you guys. Hope you still love me. Man, that to be honest, that wasn't quite as unpleasant as I thought it was going to be. That first part, anyway. Last part, it got a little more fun because I quit ratting myself out. So, peace. Love you. See ya.